I thought it would be fun this week to let Instagram blindly choose all of my reads. I have seen this video floating around. I've seen a lot of people do it. It looked like a lot of fun. I thought, why not? I'm gonna give it a go. If you don't already, go follow me on Instagram. My handle is Florence Harvey Reads. I wasn't very active on there until like the last month or so, but I've gotten somewhat active. So go check it out so you can participate in things like this. I do post a lot of like things to do with YouTube videos over there, as well as like behind the scenes things, editing videos, that kind of thing. But these polls ended last night. I am yet to look at them. I saw them when they were about halfway through, so I knew who was in the lead. Two of them were pretty much 50-50. So I've no idea which way those were going. And then one of them was a lot more in the lead, but that was 12 hours before it ended. Anything could have happened. So we're gonna go through them now and we're gonna see the 3 books that we're gonna be reading this week. The very first poll I put up, I actually think was by far the easiest poll to guess. All of the other polls, nobody guessed either of the books. This poll, a lot of people guessed. A lot of people got them. I kind of tried to be subtle, not really. I put up a shark and a little like yellow flower emoji because I thought putting a shark and a heart emoji would be too obvious. But yeah, you all guessed it, that book was Shark Heart. I thought, oh, it's got yellow flowers on it, it's a shark. There aren't that many books about sharks, so I was trying to be somewhat subtle. I wasn't subtle. That's the first book. The second book, again, I thought people weren't gonna get it. People got it immediately, and looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, of course they did. There was a little cat emoji and an old man. Yeah, it's a man called Ove. So these are the 2 that we're picking from. I'll be honest, I would be very happy with either one. Low stakes situation, not that stressed. This was one of the ones that was very 50-50, so kind of could have gone either way, I think. But let's have a look. Let's see who won. Okay, it was close. It was 55% to 45%, and the winner was Shark Heart. So that is the first book we'll be reading this week. I am not mad about that at all. So we're gonna start this now. I did literally just film this entire clip, but the entire thing was out of focus. So but we'll do it again. I started Shark Heart yesterday. I am up to page 162, so about probably 40%. No one talk to me. No one talk to me. I am obsessed. It's 5 stars. It is. I'm sorry to spoil it. It is a 5 stars. Am I near the end? Not even remotely. It is. It's 5 stars. It's a 6 stars, honestly. I'm obsessed with it. I've been tabbing, as you can see. I want to get into tabbing my books this year. Maybe not like every single one, but like my literary fictions, I want to tab. I have had so much to tab, just like gorgeous quotes. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. In this book, we are following a couple and the guy is turning into a great white shark. It sounds a little bit weird. It is a little bit weird. And it's great. I'm guessing the whole like morphing into a shark thing is supposed to be like a metaphor for terminal illnesses. So we're following obviously the guy kind of like coming to accept his diagnosis, and then also his wife like equally having to come to terms with that. And we're kind of like following his transition. Also, he's an actor. Why did nobody tell me that? He's an actor. If you don't know, I'm an actor. I love reading books about actors. It's just like one of my favourite subgenres. And all of the conversations in this about his love for theatre and equally how exhausting it can be at times, draining at times, how much he loves elements of it, how much he hates elements of it. All of those bits they're gorgeous. I'm really resonating with all of that. I'm just obsessed with his writing. It is absolutely stunning. It's already broken me. It's already so heartbreaking, but gorgeous. I'm obsessed. You guys literally couldn't have picked a better first book for me. It wasn't possible. As I say, I'm only literally 162 pages in. I have no idea where the rest of this story is going to go, but let me just tell you, I'm rating it 5 stars. I don't think there's anything that could happen in this book that would make me not rate it at 5 stars. Now, that could make me look silly when we cut to the next clip, but I don't think it's gonna. I'm obsessed with this. I love it. This is gonna be my new everybody has to read this book. This is the new book that I'm gonna be like recommending to everybody because I just think it's gorgeous and there are so many amazing quotes. I love how it's structured, how it's like all these kind of small vignettes. There are like scenes that are set out like a play. It gives it this really mixed media feeling that makes it very bingeable, but it also means that the author can choose which bits to really fixate on. So there are bits that they like really skim over, and often there are quite like uncomfortable moments or moments where they don't really want to deal with something, so they just skim over it, and it kind of gives you an insight into how the characters feel. Like, oh, there's this difficult conversation that we don't want to have, we'll just skim over it and you just get like a tiny bit of text. And then there are other bits that are really elongated and you really focus on it. For all of the weird literariness that this is, I'm hooked. I'm loving it. I am on exactly page 300 of Shark Heart. No new notes. I'm still absolutely loving it. We've kind of taken a little bit of a turn. We're basically now following completely different characters. I mean, it's kind of connected. I don't really want to... It's not necessarily spoilers, but I don't really want to say anything, but we are basically following different characters now, which is interesting. After I last spoke to you, it was actually like really soon after that we're in like almost a completely different story. And I was at first a bit disappointed because I was like, I still want to be in that other story. But actually, I'm equally loving this one now. It took me like a moment to like, oh, we're doing a different storyline now, but no, I'm kind of loving it. The second half of this book is definitely a different like vibe, I guess. I mean, it's still like very connected and it's the same like structure, the same like way of storytelling, but the actual, I guess, vibe and feel of it is very different. It's still sad and it's like very connected to the first half of the story, but like it just took a turn. Like it's just very different, but I'm just literally obsessed with this book. I'm obsessed with the writing, the quotes. I'm still tabbing so much. Also, I'm like so into tabbing now. I love it. And I just put the dust jacket back on just to like, it just looks so pretty. I'm obsessed and I've cried. I have cried multiple times and I just love everything about it. Like I have no notes, which actually makes for a really bad book review because it's just me being like, I love this book, but I do. I do. So I finished. It was mid. It was like a 3-star. Obviously joking. 5 stars. Like, are you surprised? No, you're not surprised. I loved it. 6 stars. I loved it. I need everyone to read this. I need everyone to read this. I am broken. This broke my heart. I cried multiple times. I love it. I love it. I love it. So safe to say, no strong feelings. I've never read a book like it. It's such a unique concept, such a unique structure, way of writing, everything about it I just adored. I literally tabbed so many quotes. I just thought this was stunning. Also, I think that if you enjoyed Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield, I think you should read this book. They're not similar, but similar-esque in that kind of like weird metaphorical writing thing. And it's not just the like, obviously there's like the same sea imagery and like water like motifs and stuff like that, but it's not even that. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of like the way the story was told, the weird literariness of it all. I don't know, just hear me out. If you've read one, I would read the other. I think you would like them. Anyway, I loved this. You guys literally couldn't have picked me a better first book. I'm obsessed. Thank you very much. Friends, we are back to find out our second read of the week. So our second poll, nobody guessed these books. I think these were a lot harder to guess. We had a house emoji and we had a judge emoji. I only actually did one emoji for each of these because I was struggling, honestly. The colours actually didn't correspond in this case, which honestly probably made it harder. Actually, one person guessed one of the books and I don't really know how, but I think they actually guessed it for a different poll. But I'm still giving you credit, it counts. So under the red house emoji, we had house in the Cerulean Sea. I was gonna do a house and the sea emoji, but I was like, the first poll was so obvious. I didn't want to make this one really obvious as well, because I still wanted it to be blindly picking. I nearly did like a red car emoji as well, but then I was like, I feel like that's a bit niche. Either way, that was the first option. And then the second option with the judge is The Children Act by Ian McEwan. I think that this one might have won just because it was very, very slightly ahead. And I think the like emoji and colour combination was maybe a bit nicer, but that's just personal preference. But again, this was very 50-50 when I looked. So 2 very different vibes. I don't know what I would be in the mood for. I think this might have won though, but let's have a look. As I say, it was very 50-50. House in the Cerulean Sea won. It had a last minute success story. Okay, this one 56% to the Children Act with 44%. Okay, I'm kind of surprised, but okay, that's fun. All of these books are from my monthly TBR. This one is the one that I was a little bit more hesitant putting on the TBR because I'm not 100% in the mood for it. But I have read from this author before. I read Under the Whispering Door and it actually really pleasantly surprised me because both of them I think are like cozy fantasy, which is really not my genre, which is why I'm a bit hesitant. But then Under the Whispering Door took me so by surprise and it made me cry. So this one might be pleasantly surprising as well. I think it should be a fun, easy read as well. So, okay, this is the second book that we're starting, so let's crack on. My room is in an absolute state because I filmed a physical TBR video quite a few days ago, but I've been procrastinating putting all of those books back, so they're just still there. I started the next book for this video, The House in the Cerulean Sea. I made the executive decision to listen to the audiobook because I wasn't totally in the mood, if I'm being completely honest. The idea of a cozy fantasy, I was like, that is not what I want to read right now. And I tend to, when I'm not in the mood for a book, audiobook it, or at least start on the audiobook because it kind of makes you have to read it, if that makes sense. Like you can't really, I mean you can just stop it, but when you're like sitting down physically reading it, you have to kind of refocus yourself. I don't know what the logic is, but there's a thing where if I'm not really in the mood to read something, I audiobook it. So that's what I did. And believe it or not, well, I hope you believe it, I'm halfway through. I'm literally exactly 50% in, which is probably around the 200-page mark. Very pleasantly surprised, which weirdly is exactly what happened with his other book, Under the Whispering Door, which I read last year. Exact same situation. I went in being like, I'm not really in the mood, I don't think this is really going to be my thing, and I really liked it. So this has kind of ended up being the same situation. I've absolutely flown through the audiobook and I'm halfway through now. So we're following Linus Baker. He lives this quite like miserable life. His entire life is based around his job that he doesn't actually like and they treat him really badly. His entire world is so routine and he does things even though he doesn't really want to do them because he is meant to do them. It's very like, I was gonna say it's very 1984, that's a massive jump. It's not like that bad, but it gives elements of that because there's this thing called upper management which feels a little bit Big Brothery because they have all of these like rules and regulations they have to follow and they're really horrible to them, and I don't know, like the world Linus comes from is just not fun and not nice. He then gets assigned to this place, this island, and to Arthur, who basically works here and he has these kids, and Linus gets sent on this like super secret mission to go to this orphanage full of magical kids to check if, well, he's supposed to be going there to check if everything's like a-okay, but you can tell that management are a little bit dodgy. But we've been following him as he's like getting to know all of the kids. All of the kids are so fun. They all have like very different magical powers. Some of them are more human than others. All of the kids are super lovable. Honestly, everyone other than like the management back in his like old world, everyone is so lovable. And that is the thing that TJ Klune does amazingly, is he just makes these super lovable found family characters. And you know me, I like an unlikable character, I like a messy situation, I like not cozy happy books. But do you know what? I think TJ Klune is just melting my little ice heart because I liked his last book and I'm really liking this one. It's just very wholesome. I can definitely tell where it's going. Like it's not necessarily like a plot twisty book, or at least I don't think it's going to be. Like you know where it's going. But I'm just happy going along for the ride. Like I'm having fun, it's very sweet. I'm probably gonna stick with the audiobook just because I'm halfway through already and I'm kind of speeding through it to be honest. But so far, so good. I have finished the second book in this video. I ended up flying through this, which is why I really haven't updated you that much. Sorry, bad booktuber. But hey, let's give a full in-depth review. I don't know what is in the waters, but I am having a very good reading week. I really liked this. It was cozy, wholesome, cutesy, fun. Not normally my buzzwords, not normally what I like. I like unlikable characters, dark as anything, sad, messy relationships, annoying situations. This wasn't really that like literally at all. And I literally just read for a different video another really like sweet, wholesome read. So I'm kind of in a bit of a like out of my comfort zone place with my reading, but I'm kind of, it's wholesome and it's fun. Is it going to become a trend in my reading? I doubt it. I doubt it. I intend to go back to sad, dark reads after this. But nonetheless, it's kind of nice to mix it up a little bit. It has actually been quite wholesome. It's a nice way to start the year. This was very sweet. I really recommend the audiobook. I ended up audiobooking the entire thing because I was kind of just in the flow of it. I'm also like in a massive audiobook kick at the moment. I got a subscription of BookBeat. Is that what it's called? I think so. Not sponsored, just, you know, something I have done, and I'm really, really liking it. They have a really good selection. So I've been listening to a lot on there and I'm just in a massive audiobook kick at the moment. I don't know why, but one of my like big goals with my reading this year is to really let myself read what I want and how I want, because I feel like I put a lot of pressure on last year to read just lots of very intense challenges, and I'm still very much going to be continuing doing that. I am, but I think sometimes I feel the pressure of like, I own the physical book, I have to read the physical book, but I'm just really vibing with audiobooks at the moment, so I'm kind of just trying to allow myself to read like that, because I was in a massive reading slump towards the end of last year, and I actually took a wee little bit of a break from reading, not for very long, probably for like a week, and honestly it did me wonders, because I spent the entire week being like, oh, maybe I'll pick up a book, but then didn't, because I didn't want to force myself, because I kind of felt like I was forcing myself to read because I'm never not in the middle of a book, and it felt really weird to not be. But it also was just quite a like stress-free week of like, I'm not in the middle of any books, and it's quite nice, but at the same time equally I really missed it, and I kept looking at my books and being like, oh, I want to pick that up. And I think it's given me like a refreshed perspective coming into the new year. I feel ready to read. I don't know what my point is, other than if you're feeling a little bit slumped out with reading, maybe take a little break. Don't force yourself to read if you're not in the mood. It's never that deep, it's just a hobby. It's fine, take a break. Or if you want an audiobook, or if you want to read physically, do that. I don't know what my point is, other than reading is not meant to be that serious. I've gone off on a complete tangent. I really liked this. The tiny, tiny little scraps of romance that we got, gorgeous. Loved it, loved it. Part of me wishes there was more, but at the same time, I actually liked that it was just these tiny little breadcrumbs. I've recently seen that there is actually a sequel to this. It doesn't inherently need a sequel, like this very much wraps up on its own. You can definitely just read this and move on with your life, but I kind of do actually want to pick up the sequel. So I might. The sequel is also on my audiobook app, so I might get around to that at some point. No idea where that one's gonna go. I assume, yeah, I actually do kind of know where it might go. It's very much wraps up at the end, but there is a little like, oh, maybe we could do this now, like moving forward. So I can kind of see probably where that second one's gonna go. But I found this so lovable and all the characters in the fan family so sweet that I do actually want to continue it. And I'm pretty sure that won one of the Goodreads Choice Awards. Was it fantasy? TJ Klune has once again surprised me, because I had this exact feeling with Under the Whispering Door that it just wasn't going to be my thing. I think I just really like his writing. Cozy fantasy is not my thing. Honestly, I don't even really feel like these are that fantasy. Like, they obviously are. There are people with magical powers. Like, how is that not fantasy? But they don't feel fantasy. They feel more like maybe magical realism. Like, anything cozy and low stakes just isn't my thing. But this was low stakes-ish, but also kind of not, because the whole story was kind of like, are these kids who you get to know and love going to be able to keep their home, get to keep their family, or are they going to be forced to like move on to different places? Like, so the stakes were not the highest, they weren't like a life and death, but they were still kind of high. I don't know, I feel like this was a very rambly clip. I really liked this. I think maybe TJ Klune is just an author that I like, even if it's not a genre that I would normally be drawn to. So if anyone has any other recommendations from him, the only other book I know of is something to do with puppets. Don't know what that's about. I think it might be to do with robots, or probably puppets. But of the two books I've read by him, I've liked both of them. So, a second book of this week done. Let me just tell you, having a great reading week. So we're going to move on to the third book, and hopefully we get another hit. We are back with the final poll to pick our final book. Our final poll, we had a book with a light bulb emoji and like a orange flash. Yeah, I kind of struggled with that one. You'll see why in a minute. And the next one we had a ghost and a man. Both of these I really didn't, like the covers don't have a lot on them, so I struggled. But to show you what we had on that, we had Light by Michael Grant, the last book in the Gone series. So I want to get to this so that I can finally finish that series. And then we had Slender Man as the ghost man. I was kind of like, you see where I'm going with that? He's kind of like a ghostly creature. So it's between these two, very different vibes. We have like a YA dystopia and a, I don't even know what this is, a horror, I guess. Quite different vibes. So let's see what you guys picked. The last time I looked at this poll, this was the one that was very split. This was the one that had by far the largest split, and this was in the lead. But again, I only looked about halfway through, so anything could have happened, but let's find out. Yeah, Slender Man won. Not by quite as big a split as it was when I saw it though. So 59% to Slender Man, 41% to Light. But that does mean that our final book is going to be Slender Man. And I'm excited because this is mixed media. Like all of it is emails and text messages. So I just think I'm going to fly through this. This might even be a read in one day, read in one sitting kind of situation. But we'll see. We're going to start it now. I am 96 pages into Slender Man, so I guess a third. I started it last night, literally flew through it. I don't think I've ever read a book this quickly, and that is just like the layout, the structure of this story. How do you explain this book? I didn't really know a lot of the like Slender Man lore, if you will. I didn't really know, I was like vaguely, so vaguely aware of it, but I didn't really know it. I also think I thought it was an actual story, if that makes sense. Like I think I thought it was like The Pillow Man or something like that, where it was an actual story. But as far as I can tell from this, it's more like a, I don't even know how to describe it. On the back it says it's an urban legend inspired by short fiction, viral videos and feature films. It's basically like something that the internet kind of took and then just ran with, and like people will find photos like that supposedly show Slender Man, or they'll like deliberately edit photos and there are like short stories. Like it's a whole thing. Like the internet is kind of obsessed with it. Well, I don't know if they still are, but I guess back in the day. When was this published? Will it even say? Because there's not an author. 2018. Interestingly, the copyright for this is to Mythology Entertainment. Because yeah, this is written anonymously, which is, I don't know, strange. I've never read a book by an anonymous author. Basically, we're following like a young boy who's in school, and then his friend Lauren goes missing. We're being told the entire story through mixed media. So his journal entries, some like audio recordings, lots of text messages, like news reports, literally the entire thing is mixed media. And that is absolutely my favourite thing about the story at the moment, is just how mixed media it is. It literally makes it impossible not to binge because you're just turning pages continuously. Also, complete aside, I have never had a book this floppy and I'm obsessed with it. I just love a floppy book, and I'm pretty sure that's universal. I don't know what it is, but it's gorgeous, and we don't get floppy books in the UK. I know American books are quite floppy. Not in the UK, babe. I don't know why. I don't know who made that decision, but they should reevaluate because we love a floppy book. Well, I do. Anyway, I don't really know if I've got any thoughts for you. It's like, it's a very strange read. It is quite creepy, and I love the mixed media, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not far enough into the story yet to really give you many thoughts, so I guess there was kind of no point updating. Sorry. It is not that much later since I last spoke to you. I am on page 240, so actually really nearly done now. I have less than 100 pages, so to be honest, I'm probably going to end up finishing this today, which means I've read almost all of it in one day, which if you look at the formatting, you'll see why. I definitely think the formatting is like the key of this book, like almost the main character, if you will. Like I think the book heavily relies on this very cool structure, and the structure is incredibly bingeable. If you are ever in a book slump, this is literally perfect because you could read this in one day. I will say though, not a whole lot has happened. We're basically just following Matt, and obviously Lauren has gone missing. We're kind of following him trying to like get her back. It's definitely got supernatural vibes, but honestly it's kind of more just like a mystery now. I don't know, like it's quite a simple plot, to be honest. Like there's not a whole lot going on, but I do think it's the formatting that really makes it very bingeable and like unique, but the plot itself isn't super unique. I don't know, it's easy though, it's incredibly easy to read. I do think it's a perfect book slump book. I'm gonna finish it today. It's a nice one to just, no pressure, just turning pages, don't really have to use my brain too much. It'll be interesting to see where the ending goes because I'm not really sure right now. More likely than not, we're gonna find out this evening because I don't see a world in which I don't finish it this evening. I mean, famous last words, but cut to me finishing it. Guess what? I finished our third and final book of this video. I don't know that I really have too many more thoughts than kind of what I already said. I absolutely flew through it. I read almost all of it in one day. It very much lends itself to like a bingeable book, but the plot is very simple. I do think this book relies very heavily upon the structure, and that is kind of its thing. Like I think that is the selling point of this book, is how it is structured, and how it is structured is very, very fun. And I do genuinely believe perfect book slump book. Like it was a fun, easy read, which was very, very different to kind of the other things we read this week. So not a complaint, just, I don't know. I don't really know what I was expecting. I didn't really have expectations going in because it's not like I've read from the author before because it's anonymous, which I'm so interested in, by the way. Like, did one person write it? Did multiple people write it? Can they not say because the copyright belongs to Mythology Entertainment? Is that what it was called? Yeah. I'm very intrigued by that. To put a plot to a kind of internet creation, you would think there would be an author. I don't know. I'm very interested in the whole, like, backstory of this, but there's no information. Even on the first page, it just says welcome. Like, there's no dedication, there's no acknowledgements, there's just, like, the last page is literally just the last page of the story. And then that's it. It's really interesting. It was fun though. It was very, very different and a nice way to round out the video. So, should we do a little sum up of what we read in this video? Started so strong with what is quite possibly going to be one of my favourite books of the year, which is so early to say that, but I kind of think this might be in my top 10. I mean, obviously I have no idea where my year is going to go, but I was absolutely obsessed with this book. I love the writing, I love the formatting, I love the characters, the quotes. Like, I literally tabbed so many beautiful quotes. All of the storylines to do with acting, I just loved all of it. This is my new book that I'm not going to shut up about. This is a 6-star read. I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. Then in kind of a different realm, we read The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. Pleasantly surprised by this one. Obviously listened to the whole thing by audiobook. Once again, TJ Klune just took me by surprise, took a genre that I don't really like and made it really enjoyable, and I think that was absolutely credit to the writing. And last but not least, literally just spoke about it, Slender Man, very, very different, flew through it, but a very simple plot. And that is 3 reads. Done and dusted. I will say, I think you guys picked really well. All very different, definitely had different reactions to all of them, but not a bad week's reading at all. And another 3 books off the monthly TBR, so really can't complain. If you haven't already, you should definitely probably subscribe. I'd love to have you. Like the video, comment down below, all that fun stuff, and I will catch you in the next one. I love you, goodbye.